Hi, welcome back to Stitchcraft. My name is Mary, the Stitchcraft Queen, and today is Wednesday, July 30th of 2025. Sorry, I was waiting for BB's little tip-tappies to stop. Okay, today I have a fully finished object, well, fully finished besides blocking, and then another whip that I started working on. So, let's get into it. So, obviously, the whip that I finished is, our Musselburgh hats. This one is mine. I did not think I was going to totally finish these this week too, by the way, because I still had, this is where I was on mine, I still had almost 6 inches of knitting and then both crowns of me and my husband's hat. But lo and behold, I did it. Very proud of myself. So this is it unfolded with the brim, just because that's, my stitch marker is kind of in the middle there. But with the brim folded up, that's what it looks like. So super cute. I'm very excited how they turned out. So that's mine. And this was the other one I was working on this week. This is my husband's. That's where I was. I just had to do the crown really on his, which took forever. It doesn't actually take forever. I did this in a day and a half. But his had, I've talked about this, it was 44 stitches per side. Mine had 38, so it doesn't seem like that huge difference, but that's 8 more stitches per side, so that was 4 more rounds of decreases that I had to do. And yeah, it just felt like forever. Obviously these are from different dye lots. I believe this was the first one I got, and then I went back and got a second skein once we realized we wanted to make matching hats. And so that's why they're very different. They still have like all the matching colors though, which I love. Mine turned out a little more, there's a little more, I forget what it's called, color grouping, I guess, in especially the body of the hat. And my husband's, it's very random. I really like how his turned out. And then of course we have, to top it all off, little Cece's baby hat. And hers, I made like the smallest size. It's a baby sized hat. So there's a little brim if it comes out too big for her. And hers, we did just one side versus the other. So hers is reversible. Ours technically are too, but it's the same color front and back side. So those are done. They just need to be blocked now. So I'm considering them done. I'm going to do a big like blocking party. I still have a couple blankets actually that I finished last year in Colorado, specifically my Christmas one that needs at least like a wash. And so we'll block that all at the same time. I'm waiting to get through today because we have to take the girls to the vet, and I don't know, well, it's to get their heartworm shot. And I forgot how much that costs, so I'm waiting to get through that because that's the most important. And then if I have a little bit of extra, I'm gonna get the Strucket, the Amazing Strucket, because that's something that I was actually gonna get when we moved, or at least soon after, and then I got pregnant, and so we kind of had to save that money. But now I'm like, you know what, we're in a spot, I think it would be a good idea to get it. So yes, that hopefully I will be purchasing later today. But yeah, so this is all finished now. Very happy that we have one project. Sorry, there's Johnny going downstairs. One project off the needles. Oh, and then this is all the yarn that was left. This was about 25 grams. It was like 24.9 if I remember right. And then both of these, I think this one was 19 grams and this one was 23 if I remember right. So not a ton of yarn left, thank goodness. That's always the goal, is to use it up. So yeah, that's all really that remains, and then just putting needles away. So we are almost completely done with that. I just gotta clean that up today. I was waiting to get through this episode though. Okay, and then on to my next project. So originally, I've been saying for 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks now. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Pregnancy sinuses are the worst, and I'm still dealing with it. Even though I take my allergy pill every night, I just am always clogged up there. But anyways, so I have, hey! They were trying to kill each other, my goodness. But But anyways, so I've been saying for 3 weeks now that I want to knit my husband's socks next. But I realized this week that if I was to knit those, I would not have any straight knitting, or like just straight knitting in the round, left for the plane to Disney, which is next week, I believe, or movies or anything else. So obviously, like, movies isn't as big as a deal, but the plane ride, I definitely want something to work on, especially because it's not just a straight flight this time to Orlando. We have to make a stop, so it's going to be an extra probably hour and a half of flying through the day. So I would like something to work on during all of that time. So I am saving his socks, not long term, only for like a week, and then I'll be bringing them with us to Disney. They're already actually in a Disney bag that I got last year when we went to Disneyland, so that works. But yeah, I instead decided to pick up, against my better judgment, our matching cardigans again. So all I have left on these, and this is so sad, all I have left now is the sleeves, and then there's the one button band that goes around, you know, the sides and the neck. And then I'm done. I'm done with these sweaters. So we are really close. And I did the thing that I did with my, excuse me, hey, knock it off. Sit, both of you. Very good, baby. Johnny, can you lay down? Miss Johnny, thank you. There we go. Don't you dare, baby. Don't you dare. Don't you dare start again. Thank you. Anyways, so I'm really close. But I did the thing on this that I did with my Christmas cardigan this year, where the sleeve technically, where all these increases are supposed to be a big split and it's supposed to be knit flat and then you seam it together. I would rather knit in the round and then, knit in the round over doing a whole extra seam in a garment. So that's what I did. I have knitted this in the round. It's really easy. You just do one row opposite of what the pattern says. Because for those of you that don't know, knit stitch is what makes this little loop. This is a knit one below stitch though, but same, it gives the same effect. You have this loop, and these little bumps on the inside are purls. But if you flip it, the purls actually look like knit stitches. You can see all those loops right there, and then the knit stitches are those little bumps. So a knit and a purl stitch, they're basically the exact opposite of each other. It's just which side the loop is going on. So if you know that, you can basically just flip one row, and that way, instead of working the back side, you're working two front sides, if that makes any sort of sense. But yeah, so instead of seaming right here, I just did all the increases. I like how the increases have turned out. They'll look a little bit better after blocking, but I think that they look very good. But I stopped knitting on this because it was hurting my hands at the time. And I think that it's because I was knitting so much of this pattern, and I had knit so much of this pattern. And you do a lot of yarn switching front to back for this pattern instead of just straight knitting. It's basically like knitting ribbing almost the entire way. And so it was getting, I think, really tiring on my hands. But I am back now. So this is my husband's sleeve. There's a little Luke Skywalker. That's where I was last time, right there. And I knit a lot. I basically almost doubled the length of sleeve. And this was only 2 days of knitting. So the nice thing is it's very chunky yarn, it's bulky weight, so it knits very quickly. Whereas, you know, my hats were fingering weight, so they knit a little bit slower. And by a little bit, I mean a lot slower. So that is the good thing. I only have 2 inches left on 2 to 3 inches about, left on this until I like until I start just the straight knitting for the raglan. The raglan has to be knit in the straight, or yeah, flat, I guess is what it is, because you need 2 sides to seam it. And so I've done it before, it's really easy, and it helps too because there is cast off. But instead of essentially joining right here at my little stitch marker like I've been doing and knitting in the round, you then take this, you turn and you go back and you knit it from the back side. So then I will be knitting according to pattern, and we're really close and I'm very excited for that. So yay. And then I get to start doing the cables again, which is the really fun part, and then decreasing, you know, the raglan. So I am going to, I think, get through the round knitting into the setup row. There's 5 setup rows for the pattern. And then once that's done, I will go and do my sleeve, because I am knitting one at a time. She's playing with the toy now. Yeah, this one is my sleeve, barely done. I think I only got through the first set of increases on this. It looks like, yeah. And so then I have all of the second round of increases. For most sleeve patterns, for those of you that haven't knit garments or just don't know, typically you do quicker increases close down to where the cuff is, where the arm cuff is. And then after a few rows, you like increase the distance between your increases. So that's what this was. And that's why I'm saying first set of increases and second set. But I've been having actually more fun knitting on this than I originally thought. I'm still not like, it's not the project that I'm like super thrilled about, but it's one where it's helping my brain, because I'm like, I can just get this done. I have like this whole bag full, that's been full of this yarn for like almost 2 years now. And it's sitting in the closet behind us, essentially. And I just want to get it done so we can wear this. But yeah, I told my husband that they would be done last year, and that didn't happen. And now this year I'm like, they will be done in time. I want them off the needles before CC is here. So that's my next big project. My goal is before Disney, which is like, it's like almost a week away. It's like a week and a couple days. I don't know why there's a stitch marker on the inside here. Weird. I believe it just in case I need it later. That was weird. Anyways. Oh, I think, hold on. Was I counting stitches at one point? I might have. Counting rows, I guess. I was. It's easier to count rows on the back side of this. I should do that again now that I'm done. I should recount my rows. That was really smart of me, actually. It was every 20 I put in a stitch marker. You can only really see this pink one on camera. But there's a purple one right there, and then there's a green one right there. But that's smart. I should recount my rows now that I'm done with that. I will recount my rows, actually, I think once I am all the way through. Okay, anyways. Back onto it. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, before Disney, yes. I would like to have at least my husband's sleeve done. And now it's inside out. But at least my husband's sleeve done. And then hopefully, if everything goes well, I would like for my sleeve to be through at least the increases. That would be lovely. And then when I get back, I can finish that one up, cast on the next 2, and hopefully get them done within a month, and then finish the cardigan up it'll be in September. So that's hopefully the goal. By the end of September, these are all done. And then really all I have left on my needles after that, because hopefully my socks, I'll be able to get, well, my husband's socks, really hoping, because it's just the foot and then the toes left. So I should hopefully be able to get through most of the feet, whatever it is, on the plane while we're at Disney. And then I can do the toes just in a day. It'll take me, Usually, well, for my last set, it was about an hour each toe, so just a couple hours. And have those done. Once those 3 are off the needles, really all I have left are my big blanket projects, which will be huge. Yeah, because I have not had it down to like only my blanket projects in so long, because I've always had, you know, this big overlooming project on the needles. So very excited for that. Okay, though, let's get into yarny things now that we talked about my knitting projects. So first, Sunday Fiber Co. And they're doing the Lonely Socks Yarn Club, which is Beatles inspired, which I love. It's so great. This month, it was actually last month, I get them a little bit late because I am dumb and I just still haven't changed the shipping information from my parents' house to my house. So every month my parents get a package for me, and it's, you know, we're out there often enough. It's not, luckily they don't care to, they're like, whatever. But yeah, eventually I should change. We're almost at the end of the year anyways. We're like halfway through. But yeah, anyways, so this month's was For Your Blue is the main. And so that one's very pretty. I love it. Lots of blues, speckles, and just variegation. And then I like this is the tonal that goes with it. This one's Eleanor Rigby, which I personally would not have associated purple with Eleanor Rigby, but I really, really like it. For me, Eleanor Rigby has always been kind of more of like a neutral brown, I would say, color, but I really like the interpretation of it. It's very pretty. And in the socks, or in the song, it talks about, I believe it's Father Mackenzie, he's darning his socks, which is fixing them. So he uses yarn or thread or whatever, but kind of cool to put that together. So this is that. This will go into my Beatles blanket. I think I have decided, just to make it look a lot more kind of scrappy, we're gonna do essentially stripes, because I think it's 4 skeins, it's like, or 3.5, it's something like that, all knit up already and done. Not knit up, crocheted up and done. And I now just need to do kind of the colors in between. What my plan was, before this one came out, is it was Wool and Vinyl. They did a Beatles yarn collection. It was like 2 years ago now. It was like right when I started knitting, right around, I think, my birthday, around that time, if I remember right. And they did Beatles inspired yarn, which I loved. So got the whole collection, got a few extra skeins of Blackbird, which is the neutral black color that she has for that. And originally it was going to be the Battenberg blanket, where instead of the white neutral, it would be black neutral squares in between all the colored squares. And I knew I was just gonna have to get those, 29 skeins of Blackbird as I went along. I had reached out to Rachel and she said, yeah, just let me know when you're ready and I'll dye those up for you. It was awesome. And then I put it away for an infinite amount of time as I was finishing up, because that was the project I would take to work with me, where I would work. I used to have to go through so many stoplights along good old Colorado Boulevard. So when I was at a stoplight, I would, crochet a few rounds, and then at my lunch as well, I would crochet a couple of squares. I traded that out for like a few of the smaller projects I had finishing up, like socks and hats, because I was doing hats for Christmas last year for my family. So those kind of took top priority, and then I just never brought it back after that. So that's been sitting. But in the meantime, we have our Sunday Fiber Lonely Hearts sock club, and I have decided, instead of just ordering even more yarn, we're just gonna make it a more kind of, scrappy-ish looking blanket. It's gonna be like kind of in rows too, though, or stripes. So one stripe will have 2 colors alternating, and then it'll go to another stripe with 2 colors alternating again. So yeah, we'll start to get that done probably after my row 1. I'll start to put that part of the blanket together, at least, so it's not just a bunch of squares lying around. So yeah, that's kind of the plan for that. But we love this. Very pretty colors. And even though like the woolen vinyls, they're kind of more bright colors, as I've been watching, because I have it in one of my cubes downstairs on display, as part of like what's in our living room as decor, watching it all kind of come together, it looks really cohesive and good together. So very excited about that. And I think there's enough to do one solid color with one like variegated color, so that it will kind of like be seamless throughout. We'll see how it goes when I end up putting it all together. Okay, the other yarny thing, this was a big one that I can't remember if I mentioned this last week, but no, I did not mention this. I have been wanting to try these hooks out for so long, and finally I said, let's do it as a little, a little present to myself. I've been doing so good this year, and this is something that I will use a lot, and it's something that I have been wanting to try for a long time. So I finally bit the bullet and got a set of, trying to figure out which size to show. I'm gonna show this one, of the Furls, and these are their Streamline. They're all metal, as you can like hear them clanking together down there. And I got the full set, which includes, what is it? It's an E, F, G, G plus, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, and P size hooks. Basically, it is the 3.5 millimeter through the 10 millimeter size of crochet hooks. Now, what's different about these is, one, they're all metal, which I love my all metal ChiaoGoo knitting needles, and I've wanted to do all metal crochet hooks for a long time, and that's actually why I swapped to the Tulip Amour ones, because they have a metal head that's very smooth, works really, really well, and so I've really enjoyed them. But these ones are ergonomic, so they have this kind of thicker part right here that makes it a little easier to hold in your hand. It has a longer handle too, so the handle's not like poking the middle of your hand. And so I am excited to try these out. I haven't tried them out yet. It might not be for a little while till I try them out, because even the smallest size, which is the E, or the 3.5 millimeter, it is not small enough for my Beetles blanket. My Beetles blanket is knit with, I believe it's a C hook. I want to say it's a C. It's a B or a C. I forgot which one exactly. So it's still a little bit smaller. I believe it's a 2 millimeters, the size I'm using for that one, or 2.5. I forgot. But yeah, so very excited. They just came out too with this. They call them, I forgot if it was prismatic or something, but they call them a really cool name. And the metal is really cool. I was originally gonna get the all matte black ones because I didn't like any of the others, but then they came out with these ones and I was like, oh, I gotta get those. So that was kind of my fun gift. I got the matte ones because one, I didn't really care, and two, the polished look ones were all sold out. But again, I don't really care what the finish is. I just wanted the pretty rainbow colors and the metal hooks. So I am very excited to try those out. We will be testing them out eventually, but for now they will go into my crochet hook bag. I need to get like a new bag just for these ones. No, get off, please. Go get your toy. Yeah, it's very interesting. Here, let me just steal this one. So this is the G hook that I originally learned on, essentially. This is a hook from the Woobles. Like I can even feel it right now. The metal, I don't even know if this is a metal tip. I think it's a metal plated plastic because it's extremely light. But there's like bumps in it. You can feel it when you run your fingers over it. And then the handle's pretty small. It's still big enough to like crochet with, but like the handle pokes you right there. The same size G hook here. One, this is a lot heavier, so it'll be interesting to see if that like affects my speed or anything. But it's so smooth, you don't feel any bumps in the hook head, which is what you want, otherwise your yarn can snag on it. And then it is a longer, a longer handle so that it's not like stabbing me right there. So it'll be interesting to see how they, you know, turn out and compare. But so far, I am in love with these. So I can't wait to try them out and to actually, you know, give them a run for their money. But again, this is like not even, well, it's probably like 2 ounces. And then these, I think, if I remember it, I was watching a TL Yarncraft video. She said these were like 7, I want to say. So they're all okay, don't worry. Let's be dropping it on my beautiful lineup of them. They're all okay. That's why we get solid metal ones, because they don't really break at all. But it's a lot heavier than like what I have become accustomed to. And even after this, I used the Prim crochet hooks, which were all plastic. I did like those. They did have a slightly bigger handle, which was nice, but the handle grew with the hook size. And so, like you can see here, the handle stays like the same based on, you know, no matter how fat the hook head is, which is nice. Whereas the Prim one, it was like each hook size, the handle was slightly different. Same shape, but slightly different in width and whatever. And then after that, I used the Tulip Amours, which are slightly different than these. They're just basically a nicer version. All metal hook head, and then the nice rubberized body. That is the other thing about these, is they do not have rubber on the body or the handle, and I have always had rubber on the handle of my crochet hooks. So it'll be very interesting to see again how that feels, and if I notice like my hook turning in my hand or what. So it'll be interesting, but I am excited to try them out. That is it for yarny things today. We had a lot, which was fun and nice. Good to talk about actual like yarny things on my, you know, my knitting vlog or podcast or whatever we want to call this. But yeah, let's get into what went on this week. Let's do media first again. Let's see, we went and saw the Fantastic Four movie, which I kept like my distance from because I didn't want spoilers. My husband, the only thing he told me, because my husband likes to look things up and read things ahead of time, and he knows not to spoil, especially superhero movies for me. Even if they're terrible and the reviews suck. But he was reading reviews and he told me that basically people were saying it reminded them, at least the ending reminded them of like the feeling they left when they left from Superman. So like, okay, that's a good sign. It's a good sign, especially for Marvel right now. Because they're in kind of the doghouse. But anyways, and so we went and it was absolutely amazing. I was kind of blown away because it felt like one of the original Marvel movies again, like when the original Iron Man and even like Captain America, Thor, and like the first Avengers, like kind of that first phase and that first little phase right after was coming out, where they were all like pretty great movies, focused mainly on character development instead of, you know, these big set fight scenes. They did not make Galactus into a pink cloud this time, thank goodness. They actually did him justice and made him the giant, you know, colossus being that he is, which I loved. Yeah, and then it was all, I mean, it's all about family. That's like what the Fantastic Four is. And so it was really like sweet to see, especially as we are starting our own family here, in case you hadn't heard. Yeah, there were definitely some moments I cried during, very touching moments, and just really, you know, they hit hard because, I mean, Sue's pregnant for half the movie, so hit hard as I've been pregnant for the last 6 months. And yeah, just some very sweet moments. But really, really good overall. There's still like really great action, really funny moments because Marvel's great at that. But overall, it was a great movie. It reminded me of like kind of the original Iron Man, how it felt. So yeah, and I like to, they didn't, which you kind of know this going into it, they didn't do the origin story of the Fantastic Four like the Superman movie. They kind of just explained it in a really quick opening sequence for those that like were completely oblivious to who they are, which at this point there's been 2 movies and like countless TV shows about them, and they're like, they were the original Marvel comic that like made it really big. So if you don't know who they are, what are you doing with your life? But I get it. There's still like people that don't know who these characters are. So I did like that they did the little quick blurb. But yeah. So that was the big one. We watched Trainwreck Area 51 yesterday that came out on Netflix. That was really good. Really funny because it seemed like it was like just yesterday. I was like, oh yeah, this happened like when I was already in Denver, right? And everyone was like, no, this happened like right before COVID. And I was like, wait, really? Because of the COVID time skip, you know? But it was fun for us to be like, oh yeah, like I remember like watching that stream because they showed clips. Like I remember watching that and hearing about all that. So that one was good. We also watched the Trainwreck Balloon Boy earlier this week. That one was just funny but also sad. It's hard to tell if the guy actually like did it for media or not because he was a very attention-seeking dude, but who knows. What else did we watch this week? Oh, we realized we hadn't finished season 5 of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City because I think if I remember it came out in kind of 2 bits. And the first bit was right before we moved, and then we moved, and then we forgot about it. And we're like, oh yeah, we finished the season. There was a big fight. There's a big fight in every episode though. But the second half of the season was definitely better than the first half. Not that that like, you know, really is anything. But it was very interesting. Lisa Barlow's the absolute worst, along with Meredith Marks. We do not like them in this household. We stand Bronwyn. She's pretty cool. But yeah, those are kind of our... Oh, and we like Angie in this household too. Angie is great. But yeah, really funny. Just like absolute trash TV. It's funny to watch like grown adult women that are like my mom's age fighting each other over like the stupidest shit in the world. But yeah, so that's fun. So we finished that. There were 3 reunion episodes too. Usually they just do 1, maybe 2 if there was a lot going on in the season. Like last season 4 they did 2 because of the Monica stuff, and the season before they did 2 because of the Jen Shaw stuff. But then this season there really wasn't that much, but somehow they made 3 reunion episodes out of it. And it was, there was like some making up that happened, but I believe a lot of it was for the camera, you know? It's all for the camera. But yeah, very funny show to watch. I also think it'd be very interesting. I was telling Ember this, and like it'd be very interesting to do a like YouTube Reacts channel or something to those shows, because there is so much misinformation about the Mormon church that is spread from those. And luckily there are some people like in the Reddits and, you know, online that are correcting those. But a lot of times the people doing that are the Supermos, or the Super Mormons, as my husband called them. You know, the ones that live every single law 100% and don't ask questions, which is fine. But, and we were talking about this because originally it was a series that Jubilee has done recently. They used to do like the find, you know, one non-gamer, find the one non-gamer in all these gamers. And, you know, it's funny because at the end the girl messes up, reveals, oh, she doesn't actually know who this character is. She was just like, you know, BSing her way along. But anyways, they came out with a series recently, and it was the one that my husband was telling me about that was like crazy. Was it was one, like, they framed it as like one Democrat versus 20 or 19 Republicans, so it's 20 people total. But what it ended up being was it was like one Democrat who was also a person of color. I believe he said, my husband said he was Indian, but he was like a scholar, and so he was very well spoken, had his arguments like lined up very well. But then like the 20 Republicans were like these crazy like Nazi KKK members essentially that were like hillbillies from, South Carolina. I don't want to put South Carolina down there, but like Virginia area, or like Alabama area, those areas where they're super, they're super rigid in their thinking, and they don't like anybody that doesn't look like them or act like them to like join their little group. And so my husband was telling me like it was crazy, but they did a similar one a couple weeks earlier that was, and it wasn't one versus many, it was like 5 non-Mormons versus 5 Mormons. But they chose, for the non-Mormons, they chose all these like super anti-Mormon influencers that like have podcasts, they've been doing this, they write books, like they've been doing all this stuff for so many years and have experience kind of having these arguments. But the Mormons that they chose were the super Mormons that, go to church every Sunday and follow every rule and law, or I don't want to say rule and law, but rule or commandment of our church, and are like really stuck up in their ways essentially, and very judged, because a lot of these Mormons end up being very judgy and judgmental towards others, unfortunately. But none of them really had experience arguing, talking, besides like when they had gone on their mission like years and years prior. And even at that point, they're teenagers, they don't really know how to, formulate a good argument at that point, or how to like really defend their church by other than saying, well, pray about it and see how you feel. And so it was a very unfair comparison. So we got on talking about how interesting it would be, because a lot of the same thing with these TV shows, a lot of the commentary online that I've seen, like, because I saw a couple and it was like, oh look, like this would be an interesting watch, and my husband's like, that's actually like they're a super anti-Mormon creator, and I'm like, thank you for telling me that, so that I don't watch this and hate my life for watching it and get weird recommendations. But anyways, and so I thought it would be interesting for like someone like me who's kind of a better middle ground. Like I grew up very Mormon in the church, but as I've grown up, I've, prayed about things and felt like certain things, not obviously like the big ones in the Secret Life, well, in both the Secret Lives and the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, are drugs and alcohol and like sex or premarital sex. And they spread so much misinformation about those two. And there are a lot of like funny tropes in the church, like Heather talked about soaking a lot on the Real Housewives because she went to BYU. That's something that like actually happens at BYU. But like how she talks about it, and she puts it down as if it's fact when indeed it's not. And a lot of what she says, clearly like these ladies did not ever, like, and I don't want to say this in the wrong way, but clearly they didn't really ever have a testimony. They went, like, and I grew up with a lot of people like this. They went to church because it was what was socially acceptable around here. It's what their family did. It's what their family required. All those things. They didn't go because they wanted to. They went because it was almost like required of them, or it felt like it was required of them. And then, they went and did, like, Heather went on a mission and then came and went to BYU Provo, got married, had kids, did all the things, but it seems like, at least looking at it, she did it because that was what was expected of her and that's what was taught, not because she prayed, got an actual answer, and like figured out, hey, this is like my actual testimony and my actual relationship with Christ. So very interesting, because even though, like, yeah, me and my husband joke, we call ourselves bad Mormons because, maybe we don't go to church every Sunday, or we don't stay for the full, a lot of that has been pregnancy related recently. Maybe we don't stay the full 2 hours because we don't feel included in our church, at least in our current ward very much. Or, maybe, I drink tea, which is, but we stay away from like the hardcore alcohol, drugs, and, we don't do coffee. Maybe we say a swear word on occasion, or I have multiple piercings. Like, there's certain things though, but we've prayed about these and gotten an answer for ourselves of what felt right and what was right. And I think that like our testimony with Christ is just so much stronger because like we've gone through these things and we've had to like, you know, actually make decisions instead of just kind of blindly following. Because a lot of times I've seen it with friends that I grew up with, and then also with these ladies that clearly they don't know anything about the church. They did not learn anything growing up. But they just kind of follow blindly along, and then when it comes time to make a decision or like something hard happens, they lose their whole whole testimony and fall away. But anyways, it would be an interesting comparison to have someone like me and Emmer do a commentary on these shows and be like, hey, this is actually what is like, this is actual doctrine, not what either these anti-Mormons are preaching or what, you know, the people from the Real Housewives and the Secret Lives are teaching over, you know, the interwaves. However, I will say both of those shows with my coworkers in Colorado did provide many opportunities for me to be like, this actually isn't the case. This is how it is. These guys don't know what they're talking about. And they'd be like, okay, what you're saying makes more sense than like what they were preaching, because that's weird. Because like they knew I was Mormon. They knew I didn't drink alcohol. They knew, you know, I didn't go out and party on the weekends. There's certain things that, you know, I did and didn't do as a part of my religion. And it was a very respectful place where we could all talk about that. But yeah, one thing that I always loved about those is I had one of my coworkers and dear friends who is a part of the LGBTQ community. And we had a lot of discussion about how I do not like what the church's stance is on those at all. And how I am just going to love her no matter what, because she's a great person. As long as she's not, you know, causing harm to herself or others, I'm fine with that. As long as she's having a great time and enjoying her life on earth, go for it. But anyways, she would always wrap those conversations up by saying, you're the only like Christian that I know, because she came from like deep south Oklahoma. She's like, you're like the only Christian I know that is so accepting and loving, and like you're really the only one that I like. And I was like, thank you, that means like so much to me, because it's hard to tell sometimes when you say it in this day and age, I'm a Christian or I'm Mormon. There's a lot of kind of negative connotations just because of the state of like the political environment we're in right now. There's a huge divide, and there shouldn't be. We should be loving everyone no matter what, because everyone at the end of the day are children of God, except for one orange man in charge. I believe he's not. I'm kidding, he is, but he's making terrible decisions that are affecting the rest of us and our free agency. But enough about that. That's my little rant, I guess, on Mormon commentary and Mormon shows. It is interesting though, there's a lot more of them popping up recently, because not only do you have those two big shows, but there's also like a lot of documentaries on, like the big one recently was Ruby Franke. Did I get her name right? The one that like with Jody Hildebrandt that was the YouTuber. And yeah, there's a lot of like those, you know, family vlogger influencers are getting a lot of their own documentaries because of the horrible things that happen in these families. And it's really sad that puts such a negative light on the church, because they are on there preaching, because a lot of their audience is other church members. And so it's just very interesting to see that a lot more, and like whether it's, you know, any press, good or bad, is good press at the end of the day, because you're getting people to hopefully get directed to the LDS website where they can actually learn about it. But there's also a lot of misinformation out there now too because of these. So both good and bad, but interesting, like just interesting thing to think about. Okay, that's basically all that we watched this week. Yeah, and then I watched a lot of random YouTube videos, so that was fun. We'll move on to pregnancy stuff. Oh, there's my alarm going off. So we'll wrap this up quick. Pregnancy stuff hasn't been crazy. Mainly just, again, nausea. Every morning I'm throwing up, so that's great. Usually it's like I'll throw up and then it'll be like 2 mornings where I'm just super nauseous and dry heaving, and then the next day, so like 3 days later, I'll throw up again. So that kind of really sucks, but it is what it is. Usually once I get food in me, my tummy settles down, So that's like always my goal of the day, is to make it to when I can get food in my stomach. My back is always so sore now. Like even right now, just because this chair does not have a back, I'm having to lean forward a little bit. It hurts. Yeah, it sucks. And little baby girl's getting big. She's 1.5 pounds now, over 13 inches long. So she's getting up there. By next month, she'll be, and by next month I mean in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, when we get back from Disney, she'll be about 2 pounds, which is crazy to think she doubled her weight within a month. I'm definitely putting the pounds on too. That's something that is really hard for me. Which I will probably talk more about this in my end of second trimester chat. But I've always, for a good portion of my life, I've struggled with body image and being skinny, because, you know, as a white girl, that's kind of like the only thing in life that you're taught about your body image is you want to have, you know, blonde hair, long flowing hair, and be skinny and tan, and, you know, all those things that you're taught, not really taught, but the media, like, I guess, yeah, it is the media, I guess, that teaches you and influence you that this is like the best way. So the area specifically that I've always been like super self-conscious about is my stomach, because I've always had, you know, just it's not anything bad. It's like a tiny layer of fat on there. But being as heavy as I am now, and it's a healthy heavy weight right now because I'm pregnant, I'm supposed to be putting on pounds, but it's hard to like get on the scale when I need to track my weight to make sure I'm gaining enough for little Celeste and myself to be okay. But it's really hard to see that number keep going up and up and up and up. But I mean, at the end of the day, my doctor is also keeping track of that. She says I'm at a healthy weight right now, and to keep on, you know, my trajectory. And then, you know, I know that it's weird because after birth, I'm going to be weighing about the same I am now, because I have about 10 to 15-ish more pounds to put on, depending on who's counting. So it's weird to think that after birth, I'll be the same weight I am now, and then I have like 15 pounds to lose to get back to my pre-birth weight, or my pre-pregnancy weight, I guess. And so that's like a weird like mental thing that I've had to just deal with usually every day. But we're getting over it. I mean, I'm eating healthy. I'm doing everything I should. I'm not like eating a ton. It feels like it sometimes, because now my stomach, because of how compressed everything is now in my body, all my organs, it sure feels like anytime I eat anything, my stomach is like super full, just because there's not really a ton of room in there anymore. But yeah, my uterus too is now the size of a soccer ball, which I found very like kind of funny, because I grew up, like, I know how big a soccer ball is, like this big. I grew up playing soccer my whole life, so I'm like, okay, I know exactly how big that is. And it's like one standard size, whereas up till now it's been like, it's the size of a cantaloupe. And I'm like, okay, well, which cantaloupe? Is it a GMO giant cantaloupe, or is it like a natural smaller cantaloupe, or is it one in the middle? And then they're like, it's a watermelon. I'm like, okay, which type of melon? There's a lot of different types of melons. But now there's like one standard size 5 soccer ball. I'm like, I know what that is. So kind of crazy to think about that it's that big. But yeah, we're week 25. We have just couple weeks left until, it's crazy thing too, when we're back from Disney, basically I'll be at week 28 already. So that is very exciting, because then I'll be in my 3rd trimester finally. Some exciting news though. My cousin-in-law, she just announced to the family, I won't reveal names, but she's pregnant, and she's having a little baby girl. They waited a little longer to tell everyone, it sounds like, than we did. I just was so sick, I could not fake it at family parties that I was okay, so we just told everyone. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie to you people and say, oh, I just have a really, really bad cold, when clearly that's not the case. But it will be fun because our little girl Celeste and their little girl will be about 2-3 months apart. So we're really close in age as cousins. We were worried because, at least on my mom's side, me and my husband are the only married set of cousins. And there's a couple dating. One's getting married this weekend. We are placing bets on when they will have their first kid, because it is Utah, so it could be tomorrow, or it could be, like us, where we waited for like 3 years. But so on that side, we're like, she's not gonna have anyone her age for probably a good, if they wait, and however long it takes for everybody else, all my other cousins to get married, probably gonna be like 3, 4, 5 years till she has another kid on that side. Whereas on my dad's side, again, we still weren't sure, because a lot of my cousins, either I'm just not as close to them, or they live far away, because on that side they're more spread out all over the country, it seems like. It seems like they are. But we were worried and then a lot of the other ones just are either done having kids or they don't want them right now. And so it was a fun little surprise to be like, oh, she's gonna have at least someone we know that will be around her age. So yeah, we're very excited for that. Very happy. Her pregnancy seems to be going a lot better from what I've heard than mine. Seems to be going a lot easier. So very happy for her, because I would not wish this upon anyone. Yeah, pregnancy, at least for me, has sucked so bad. But very glad that she's been, from what it sounds like, enjoying hers and having a lot easier time than me over here, in the slumps of things. So, yes. But we only have 3 months to go, less than 3 months now. I'm like counting down the days. It's weird because it's technically, once you get to week 28, it's 3 months, because that's 12 weeks. But I'm counting it as 3 months right now, because if she pops out early, then we're good. So about 3 months to go right now. So yes, very excited for that. And I'm like, there's a finish line and a goal in sight. I can do this. Even though I know my back pain's only gonna get worse. Oh, heartburn's the other thing. Heartburn and like acid reflux. Terrible. Absolutely terrible this week. I have had, like, Tums will calm it down, which helps a lot, but you can only take 2 Tums every like 4 to 6 hours. And so we've been trying to eat more starchy foods without a lot of acid. And then this week I decided, let's make some chili, because that sounded really good. So that's been kind of the not good thing, is that. Last night I did have avocado with it though, and that seemed to calm it down a lot more. So we'll try, I think, that again tonight when we have our leftovers. But yeah, so that pregnancy heartburn sucks so bad. I might go get, because I noticed they sell it at Costco. They sell, I think it's called Omeprazole or something, but that's a pill you take. I took it when I had morning sickness really bad, as one of the like 8 pills they gave me. But that one, it like lasts throughout the day, and so I think it's like for 8 hours it lasts. So if it continues to get bad, I'm probably going to stock up on some of that instead of just Tums, and that will be what I use. And that is on my doctor's safe like medicine list for me, so that is good. But yeah, it's weird too, because the next prenatal appointment, my OBGYN appointment, which it happens to fall right in week 28, which is perfect. But that is my last like technically monthly one. And then after that, it's every 2 weeks, which I'm happy about, because I feel like that makes the time go faster, is when they're closer together. Because then it gives me like something to do more often. So I'm excited for that, even though it's more driving. But that will be just a good thing to help the time progress. Oh, the other thing is like being out of breath. Now, anytime I have to do stairs, I like, give me a minute, I can't catch my breath. It sucks. And what happens is just as your baby's growing and your uterus is growing, not only does it compress your stomach and intestines up, but it then also compresses your lungs and even your heart a little bit. And so while you are breathing for 2 and your heart is beating more blood, pumping more blood, I should say, than ever, it now has to do it well compressed a little bit by your baby. Though, like, women's bodies really are just so incredibly amazing. And the more I learn about my body and what it has to go through and what I have to do in order to get this kid into the world, I just am so grateful for it. However, me and my husband have both said when we get up to heaven, we are having a good old chat with God to say, why is it so hard? Like, especially for some women, why is it so hard? Like, if it's gonna be easy for some women, it needs to be easy for all. It can't be like, oh, it's up to your genes, woohoo, because that's not fair. Because we want to have more kids eventually, but we're both like, I don't know if we want to go through this again. So, like, adoption's always a thing, but, like, that's something that's been really, like, another really hard thing about this pregnancy is because we both wanted to have, 2-3 kids, but now we might just have 1, and that's okay. We're gonna love her to death anyways, but it is very difficult. But yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. I think the other thing I noticed yesterday after work, my feet, for the first time I noticed, were starting to swell a little bit. It wasn't a lot, but it was like my toes were a little puffy. I'm like, okay, I had been on my feet for like 5 hours, so sat down, got off of them, they look fine again. I noticed too my calves were a little big yesterday. When I went to put because I have on, so I'll wear like joggers or leggings to work, and then I have waterproof pants I put on to keep all the bath water off of me. I noticed they were feeling pretty tight yesterday. They haven't felt tight like that. But yesterday specifically, I'm like, oh man, I might have to go to the Columbia outlet store and get another pair of these, but a size larger. At least which I don't want to do because it's like 3 months, right? 3 months and then I'm done. And so I'm like, is it really worth, like, because we got them on super clearance for like $40. I'm like, is it worth $40 for 3 months? I mean, yesterday I finally, because my, like, as baby's pushed up, so has a lot of, like, I don't want to say, it's not fat, but a lot of, like, skin, I guess, and like you are just more puffy in areas, but it's pushed up to where my bra band is the band that holds my bra on. And like my husband's been noticing this. He's like, your back always hurts worse when you wear a bra. I'm like, yeah, you're right. It does. And it's because it's getting tight. And so finally yesterday I ordered, and it took me like 3 weeks to do this because I'm like, I don't want to spend this money. Even though these are ones I'm going to use, they're nursing bras that just are a little bit bigger and accommodate a little more space. But it took me a long time to order those. So hopefully those will come soon, and then my back hopefully will have a tiny bit of relief. The other thing we might get, especially if my tummy keeps growing and it hurts my back more and more, is like a belly band, I want to say. It's basically like a band that goes and helps support your belly, and then in turn taking that weight off of like kind of the front of you helps like your back a little bit. And so that might be something we try in this 3rd trimester, but again, I'm probably gonna wait till it's like the pain's killing me absolutely, and then I'll go for it. But yeah, so those are kind of the main pregnancy symptoms. I guess it's like right on kind of the edge of my rib cage, the bottom edge of my rib cage. I mentioned this last week, but again, all my organs feel like bruised because it's just them being squished and they have less room. And it's a weird feeling because you're like, I didn't do anything to bruise this or to like hurt this, but here it is. So yeah, that's fun. I think that's it for pregnancy stuff. yeah, little girl right now too, I learned this week in our weekly video, it's the most active time for baby girl, and certainly it is. She's moving around a lot. I wouldn't say, because starting week 28, it's supposed to be like every hour. It's definitely increased, like the frequency of it, but I don't necessarily feel it every hour. I did learn kick counts too. They're not every hour on the hour. It's twice a day, so thank goodness. Because I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do that at work. I'm like, I don't know how my mom did that at work. But twice a day, so I can do it in the morning and then at night and be good, so that's good. Don't have to start those for a couple weeks though, so that's good. Although right now, she's definitely doing, 8 to 10 kicks in an hour when she is moving. But yeah, that's kind of the next big thing is week 28. There's a lot of big things that come into week 28, so we're just kind of waiting for it's 2.5 more weeks until we're there. Yeah, and then we have all sorts of fun things that we get to look forward to in the 3rd trimester. But that is it. I will wrap this up now because now we're just over an hour. And I have other things I gotta do today. But until next time, stay safe out there. Enjoy life. Enjoy the sunshine. Our AC broke this weekend and we got it fixed. Enjoy your AC because it sucks not being without it. But yeah, so enjoy the sunshine, but stay cool indoors. Keep your dogs inside and safe because it's hot out. But yeah, until next time, we will see you then. Bye-bye!